are coming up, just on the topics that Jenny and Candy were talking about. We've got some, a handful of grant cards, for, love and respect, and, feel free to take those and look them up. They weren't able to be here today, but they do provide, trainings for your business on, if you have kind of chronic problems with people who you feel uncomfortable with outside of your storefront, they will all give your employees a quick training on how to interact with them, and they also have a street outreach program which can come and talk to those people and try to build that relationship to where it feels a little less uncomfortable, because we know that's a hard topic and a hard thing for people, especially downtown businesses, more than anywhere to work with, and especially when you've got employees. And I know some of you've got young employees, and that's always kind of a challenging thing. So could not shout them out enough. So please look them up, and we can send some more information out. This is our first time doing this, so we're gonna see how all of this goes. And for the folks there, the microphones, they're green if they're on, and they're red if they're off. So I will let Patsy go, and let everyone have her introduce her.
Hi, my name is Patsy Dupree. I've been on the Downtown Advisory Board with a little step away, but for a few years. I was at large because I live outside the city limits, but I am also president of Art League of Henderson County, and if you don't know, we have a wonderful gallery in the 7th Avenue Creative District at 730 Locust. It's the building painted with flowers and bees. So now Art League is part of a business in the downtown area. We also have clay studios just outside the city limits, so if you ever want to get into clay studio and play with clay, we're happy to do that. I'm just filling in as the asking questions, and these fine business owners who will introduce themselves will be giving all the answers, so I got the easy job. So everybody, introduce yourself and what you do.
Good morning, I'm Stacy Fields with Mini Batch Bakery in Raspberry Fields. Most of you know us from the farmers markets. We have a little small raspberry farm out in Fletcher, and we established our brick and mortar on 7th Avenue about 3 years ago, and with baked goods and things like breakfast this morning. So thanks for having me.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Pavo. I am the current key holder and caretaker of Black Bear Coffee on Main Street. Oh, is that better? On Main Street, been on Downtown Advisory Board since about 2020, I believe. Always on Main Street available if any of you guys want to chat about concerns or comments, suggestions, things you'd like to be brought to City Council, whether it's parking or road condition or anything like that.
Hi, I'm Aaron Adams. I'm the owner of White Duck Taco Shop on 7th Avenue. We've been open for 5 years. It's a franchise based out of Asheville, and I came up during that as White Duck in Asheville was taken off, and then me and my wife opened up the spot in Hendersonville right when 7th Avenue started to get its development, and I've been a part of the Downtown Advisory Board since the 2nd year, right before the streetscape, and I'm the chair of the Economic Vitality Subcommittee that also meets once a month, similar to the Downtown Advisory Board, first Tuesday of every month at 4 p.m.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny Greenlove, and my husband and I own the Emporium on Main and the market at the corner with the tea cottage. If those who don't know the Emporium, we are in the old building of the Village Green, and we have about 120 vendors, mostly women, so you know what my day's like, but we have a great time in there, wonderful things. The market has only been open since August. It is in the location of the old Christian Science reading room. And hopefully this weekend we'll be able to serve food, so we're excited about that. I have only been on the, advisory board this year, or excuse me, I guess it's been June 25, and excited to be with all these great people, each month. So if anybody has any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, these are warm-up questions. It's gonna get tougher, y'all better be prepared. We'll start at the opposite end, so you're not always the last person to answer a question. How about tell us what's one thing you wish you had known when you first opened or took over your business downtown or on the 7th Avenue District, which is downtown as well?
Am I supposed to be nice with this one? No. Okay. Well, I don't have any negative things at all to say about our location. Just to tell you a little bit, is we were on South Main. Prior to that, at the old New Way Cleaners, and I thought that I was gonna be in a wonderful spot because I had free parking, and that was not the case. Free parking meant nothing, it was all about location, so I only have great things to say about, opening up. It's been wonderful. We opened up, June of 24, in our new location, and I'm happy with it. All good.
Before I opened, there's not much about the city, but I wish I knew how to, hang a shelf and fix a toilet. So if you're owning a business or owning property and you don't know that type of stuff, you should probably watch a YouTube video. I spent my whole life being a line cook and making food, so once that sort of thing was in front of me, the network became the most important thing. Just knowing who to call in an emergency. None of that stuff is like beyond me, but I have a healthy respect now for people that are professionals and can do the thing and can help others. And yeah, I wish I had better network resources when I first started.
Going down the line?
Yes.
Okay. When we purchased Black Bear, obviously it's an anchor of Hendersonville. It's been around since '93. We just try to keep what was great going and try and make it a little bit better, keeping the same traditions. I'm sure I ran into a lot of stuff that a lot of you guys have run into too, whether it's, things with repairs, or dealing with the city, outdoor seating, parking, but overall, the experience I've really enjoyed is working with the city. Lou, Jamie, every time something has come up, they are very open to discussing with, they're open to ideas, they work well with us on Main Street. I strongly encourage any of you, if you have questions about anything in the downtown district, they are an amazing resource. I remember during COVID, we were trying to figure out what we were gonna do, and we thought maybe we could do a grocery for older people, because we were talking about shopping and infections, and we didn't know what was going on. Well, they were very open to it. They were like, whatever you gotta do, you gotta, we'll support you. And so that was probably my biggest thing about being downtown is the support that the city actually has for us. And as long as you tap into it and you are aware of it and you participate in it, it will help you enormously.
Well said. I would say that if I knew what I knew now, I would have never done it. So it probably was good I didn't know. To second what Erin was saying, you do have to know how to fix the toilet and, do the spreadsheets and do the psychology with your employees and understand where the pivot happens next. There's always a pivot. The weather this morning, there's always something that's being thrown at you, and you have to go, who are my resources? Who are my team players? And a lot of times when you start something, you don't know what you need, but if you know people, then as questions come up, you can say, okay, I'm gonna call Terry. Terry, I got a question. What do you have for me? And, there's a lot of resource in our community. I don't know a lot of places, because I haven't lived in a lot of places, that have the level of networking that we have here. Our nonprofits, our business sectors, our city, our governments, you know, people are active and they're working and they're wanting to connect. They're wanting to do things. So you just can't make somebody want to, a lot of times. You gotta find people that want to and then do the thing. So, like Mark was saying, the flow, you know, find the things that are already happening and just step into that. Find the people and the helpers and the movers. So, that's been something I've done since day one. But yeah, so maybe knowing some more of the great people that, I know now that I didn't know then, that would have been a good thing for me.
I can personally echo all of that, knowing great people in this town. I moved here 14 years ago, and just I love downtown, and I would get to know a lot of the owners of downtown businesses, and then I got involved in the Downtown Advisory Board, which, if any of you are ever interested, I would strongly encourage you to let Jamie know. But just speaking of the downtown, Jamie and Dakota and Terry, and Lou sometimes, but they are a great resource. And an example is when 7th Avenue and Locust Street reopened, one of the merchants came to Jamie and said, we need to get more people here. So this past holiday season, we did a cookie stroll. And Art League participated, and we probably had over 200 people come walk through from the farmers market. So she was open to a new idea right away to help the businesses in our district that are still working to draw, you know, people into the area. But just wanted that as a sidebar. Now, I'm gonna go change it and have Erin answer first. And actually, if you don't want to answer, or if you really want to answer, right, you know, you can just say, let me do it first. But another question is, we want to hear from you what one operational decision or change you made in the past few years that had the biggest positive impact on your business. Was it a person you hired, or the hours you increased, or some kind of marketing partnership? Erin, can you go first?
Similar to what Stacy was saying, there's always something to adapt to. It's good to have a foundation and know objectively or in a vacuum kind of how to run a business or what the conventional wisdom is, but you always have to change something. So for me, it was kind of to do with staffing. Everything is an experiment, and you just open up and you pay attention and you see how it goes. And it's important to be honest about what you observe and, like I said, adapt to the information that you get. So for us, it was always staffing. I had to kind of learn that there were different roles in my business where, you know, it's a kitchen and it's a restaurant, so I have a few key important employees and I have a few seasonal employees. Learning how to be honest with the seasonal employees, you know, it's the ideal thing for like a college student to do, or if you're in high school and you just need a few hours here and there. But if you're a single parent and you're trying to hustle, like they still apply to me and they still need a job and they're usually good, so I try to give them a chance. Then the most important thing to me with dealing with them and then with anybody was just to be honest up front. You have to say like, look, this is not, you know, a job that's gonna support your family. I'll put you on, but keep looking, don't put all your eggs in this one basket. That's kind of like not a conventional wisdom thing you would say to an employee as an employer because you want to motivate this person. But it's honest, and it's the reality of this environment that we're in. And once I've learned that that's what this job looks like, communicating that to the people that I was hiring and what they can expect became really, really important. And then, you know, on the flip side of that, then I can motivate the other people saying like, there's a few key places to go to this job can really take care of like 5 or 6 people like solidly. You can live your life on it, and that gives them an idea of what they're getting into and gives me a better sense of what's going on in my business.
I think, not to repeat myself, but the biggest thing that I found was getting involved. You know, we see on Facebook all the time, people don't come to downtown because of parking, or they're boycotting downtown district. When we first purchased, I was very much against parking. So I showed up to a city downtown advisory board meeting, and I complained and stood my ground, and they were like, why don't you join us? You know, and I was like, great. So through that, though, I saw that the parking was staying no matter what. We were gonna have parking meters. So how can I work with the city to help it benefit us and the other people in the downtown district? So we worked to get stuff like the first half hour was not paid if you're out within a half hour, because for us, that's a big tax on to someone jumping in to get a coffee in and out. So that was the biggest change for me. And again, I suggest all of you, I mean, just being here to start is amazing. But try and get involved with the Vitality Committee and Downtown Advisory and Events Committee, and because your input will immediately impact your business. And I know a lot of people have had their businesses for a long time, so I may just sound like a young kid just kind of spatting at the mouth, but for me, that was definitely the most important thing that we did, was to get involved with downtown, the city, and make our voices heard. It made a major impact.
Oh, gosh. We've changed so much. So when you go from a certified kitchen at home to and you've got one Saturday morning market to a 6-day-a-week brick and mortar, there's a lot of changes that happen with that. We had our last son, and so that the house became really full really fast. So it's like, do we keep the baby? Do we keep business? But it's like, there's not enough room in the house for everybody. So, so we stepped out into the brick and mortar. And so that first step was a doozy. It was a drop. It wasn't a step. And so as we fought through figuring out what was operational, what was the process, what is the recipe? Because, I just do it. So just do it. What do you mean you need a recipe? Butter, sugar, milk, what's your problem? I didn't say that, but and here I did. And so writing out the recipe book, writing out this is where you order this from, and this is how many we need. There have been a lot of numbers and details and creation of processes in the last 3 years in our tiny little brick and mortar. So that first year, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know what the demand would be. We didn't know what people wanted. We didn't know how we were gonna produce it. Did we need 8 cakes? Did we need 80 cakes? So we did a lot of what Aaron said. We did a lot of experimenting. We made something, we asked, we paid attention. And the biggest thing and I know we've got a mix in the room, but I think this is valid for anybody, small business, government, nonprofit, whatever. You have to fail fast. You've got to know what's wrong quickly, and then you can adjust it, then you can change it. And so that's the one, and I think that's the hustle behind the desire to get the right answer or to refine the process. But that is key. You have to want to know the better answer. What is the next thing that we can do with the resources that we have? And so you have constraints. So, you may want to hire 20 professional people, but you have the budget for one. So, what's the most important thing? So operationally, learning to prioritize, learning to ask people in our community, because a lot of times you can find partnerships and it doesn't cost you money. It might make you money. And that's another thing about the networking group that we have in the community, and doing things like this breakfast and going to chamber events and being a part, like Mark was saying, being involved, is that you know where you can go, maybe not for the answer, but the next step to get you to the answer. So, I just love y'all, in case y'all
Well, my year was a little strange because, again, we moved from the old New Way Cleaners, which was about 5,600 square feet, no heat, no air. But then we went into this almost 13,000 square foot building on Main Street, and it was a little scary. And I made the mistakes of, at the beginning, just trying to fill that space, because there was a lot of square footage, and so when people would come and want to put their application in to be in our building, I grabbed up everything I could, because I had this huge rent that I had to make. That was a mistake, because then I slowly had to get those people out of there that I didn't want in there. So now, finally, it's the store that I always wanted. It's evolved over the past year and a half to something that was in my vision, and I don't have that panic mode anymore. So I've settled down with that. The other thing was, coming from New Way Cleaners again, I didn't have the network there because I was like the redheaded stepchild. I was on the wrong side of Main Street, and I couldn't get in with, although Jamie was great, she'd come visit me, but really there wasn't a lot that I could get involved in because it really stopped right before my building. And so, I would sit and watch the Apple Festival, for instance, all these people, and we'd set up outside, and all these people were coming, and they stopped right before my building. So that was a little depressing. So when I got on where I'm at now on South Main, wow, it was like, the door opened and the flood came in. It was great. And then I realized all the things I could tap into and be involved in, and so I try to be involved in any kind of promotions. If the orchestra wants to come and play in my building, please come. So I just hardly ever say no to things, because I realize that that's how you get your name out there and get your building noticed. So it was a big change in a year for me, but all good. But with that, I had to go back and look at other, change my plan of how I saw things. And then, of course, my husband came to me and said he wanted to open up the store at the corner. So then here we go again, but that was all good as well, although we had some challenges with, some permits and things, but it's all good. But anyway, the biggest thing I would say is being on any kind of, to get involved, don't say no. If you have to say no, just say, well, if I can't do this, but I can do this. So, that's my advice.
Well, since one of your policies is don't say no, will you come to Art Place Gallery and buy a lot of art? This is fairness to let Mark start first, so then all four of them are able to start first. This question is, how do downtown events, foot traffic patterns, or seasonal swings affect how you plan staffing, inventory, or promotions? So, Mark, you first, and if y'all make yours brief but very important comments, because we know everyone has to go. And then we'll ask one final thing, which will be short.
As most of you, we track everything. Our numbers parallel year to year, just ridiculously accurately. I mean, every July, August, September, October, it's always the same. So after a couple of years of being in it, we have noticed the trends, and we just kind of run with them. And the city's always doing things downtown, trying to open up more. We had the Christmas carolers push really hard this year, which was nice. Just being aware of what's happening and adjusting to it, obviously. But we're in a good flow right now that we know how the trends are going. So the first 2 years were a little figuring out. Our first Apple Festival, that was wonderful. Had a lot of waste that year that we probably didn't need, over prepping, but now it's great.
So my journey is a little different. When we started at the brick and mortar, the first year, it's always chaos. The second year, the road closed. So we had always been in go to the customer mode. So market, festivals, rhythm and grooves, Garden Jubilee, people were seeing us in places because they weren't necessarily coming to our store as a destination. So being involved with all the events that happen where the people are, we found our way in there. We got into Apple Festival last year. We do the tree lighting ceremony. There's a lot of little things that we partner with the city on. And we would like to do more with other businesses because we're opening up the cafe across the street. So we'll have space for people to come and enjoy breakfast and lunch and have a space to meet. But that has been pivotal for us. I mean, we have our cronies, our groupies, whatever you wanna call them, that roadies is probably a better word, that help us do the festivals and things. And my family has decided to divorce me because they decided that I have used them way too much. And they're like, that's yours now, Mom. Off you go. But they've been an integral part. So seasonal swings, it's definitely been a little quieter. This past year, I think we've all seen some of that impact just from the hurricane and some things that people have resettled and renegotiated, and I know that there's great forces at work to get people back here and get those numbers up, and we appreciate that as a small business owner, the power that y'all pack in talking to people away from this area, talking to the people here, and just those referrals that happen from store to store to store. I don't do that, but I know someone that does. Us all building our portfolio so we're sharing our information is the most important.
Jenny?
Well, we have seen a huge amount of foot traffic due to the events that take place on Main Street. Black Friday was fantastic for us. We stay open late whenever the city's doing something. I mean, you gotta stay open. You gotta figure it out. You gotta get staff somehow, round up your friends and family or whatever, but if they're right outside your door, don't close. And I've seen that a lot on Main Street, which is, disheartening, because then if people are traveling and coming here and a lot of stores are closing during the tree lighting, well, are they gonna come back next year? So that's my big concern. The other thing is that the TDA does a wonderful job with the little bigger scavenger hunt thing. But there's businesses that are on there that families can't go to because they're closed, and so they can't ever win. They can't win that contest because they can't get the little cook thing on store. So I guess what I'm saying is that whenever there's an event, get on there, look to see what's going on, and stay open. Figure it out. There's times that I don't really like being there till 9 o'clock sometimes, but when I go back and I look at my numbers, Old Fashioned Christmas, for instance, huge day for us, huge. The peaks were during the 6 o'clock and the 7 o'clock hour. We stayed open till 9. We had our people dressed up. We did everything to try to pull them in. I always say that there's only there's a pie, and there's only so many pieces of that pie, and those are our customers coming down the street. You need to grab them and bring them into your store. Do whatever you can to get their attention. Parade night was very good for us. Peaks were at 2 and 5 o'clock, and we stayed open till 8 o'clock. Again, the tree lighting, we stayed open till 7. Black Friday, we were open till 8. I see a lot of stores that will even close during the Apple Festival, and we're open and we do very well. So, and we encourage our vendors to make sure they're well staffed and the store looks good, so that when the visitors are coming in, they get a good experience.
I agree with what Jenny was saying, what Stacy was saying. We're in a tourism-based area, and no matter what your business is, if you're in this area, the name of the game is strike when the iron's hot, and you have to be ready when it's hot. So practically, I tell my people, you have about 6 months on and 6 months off, and it's like April, May, June, July, August, September, and for Hendersonville, it's really October too, because the Apple Festival keeps people here. That's like the busy season, and June, July, you need to be ready for it. wanna take a vacation, it's the last week of January, it's last week, or like right now. This is the perfect time to leave, this is the perfect time to set yourself up for success for that June, July season. And, you need to be ready to adapt and know when the iron is hot, so you can be there and ready to take advantage of it. For the city and stuff, that means that it could be different things, like if your business, you know, there used to be a framing store downtown, Blue Ribbon Framing, that moved to Canuga. The Apple Fest wasn't great for them because they were trying to frame a picture in a festival, but she would go out and she would sell, you know, fairy wands and little knickknacks and stuff like that, just to do something, and while you're there, you're talking about your business. So it's adapting, and like I said, grabbing people where they're at, meeting the busy where it is, and going to it instead of just expecting it to come to you. And a lot of the people in the city do a lot to encourage that and capitalize on that type of thing with these events and stuff like that. It's a really, really important resource that I've learned to adapt my business to and kind of incorporate with that. It's changed a lot for me.
And I wanted to chime in here on the topic of events, because we've been working and looking at trying to do a lot more of this slower season type of events, particularly this year, and it'll be the first year on a lot of things, so, you know, we'll taking it as whatever we do is gonna be a success, because better than last year where we didn't have anything. So if you're not aware, we've got this Saturday is our first Mardi Gras parade, and it's not a street closure parade, it's called a Petite Rex parade. It's our little wagons that will be going up the street. Well, that will be this Saturday on Main Street, starting at the Visitor Center, walking up the west side of Main Street, turning at 6th Avenue and back down with a party at Oklawaha Brewing. And we've got several businesses that have joined in to do Cajun themed dinners. And so we're looking at ways to incorporate activity during that slower season. So with this being the first year, I think we have 11 floats, I believe. So we're excited to have that as a way for people to get excited around, and starting off with this year and then building on that for future years. So that way there's less of that shoulder season. And then also, I've got some flyers on the table for an event we're partnering with the Historic Preservation Commission. It's a loft tour downtown, which will be at the end of March. So that's another opportunity that we're trying to get more folks to come during other times of the year. And then the TDA is also working on an event called the Winter Ramble, which is what do you call it, not dislocated, but decentralized.
We're sponsors of it, so it's all over Henderson County and several venues in downtown.
So, and that's the first weekend of March?
Last weekend of February.
Last weekend of February. And so those are all ways that we're just trying to extend that season for folks. Just, you know, so hopefully, you know, in the future, it's not where if we have a rain out for an apple festival, you're not feeling like you're screwed in January and February. That's what we're hoping for. And a lot of that relies on not getting disheartened if for the first year you're open and you get nothing. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to continue over that. It just relies on everyone's participation. That's it.
To add on to that, she mentions Main Street, which is very important downtown, but of course 7th Avenue Creative District, and Mini Batch is making king cakes. Homemade Pasta Noodle is having a dinner to celebrate Mardi Gras. Art Place Gallery has beads they're gonna give out, and they'll have jazz music. I mean, so we're trying to pull all of the downtown district together to promote downtown. And just as someone who loves Hendersonville, loves to promote downtown, I encourage all business owners and their staff, if possible, to encourage people to visit other areas. Like if someone comes in for coffee, but they need a good bakery, there's a number of bakeries available, but if you can talk up your entire community, it shows how connected we are and how much all of us care about downtown. And then just one little thing, I'm chair of a subcommittee for Downtown Advisory Board, which is community character, and T-Rex is something that came through the Community Character Board, but something really important that art gallery owner Phil and Diane Dean, Executive Director of the Art League, and a number of other people are involved in is we're creating a public art policy and a public art commission for downtown. So it's real exciting. It's just gonna add more to what we have that draws people, which we already have a lot of public arts. We have the banners every year, we have the bears every year, we have numerous things. So everything we're all trying to do is to enhance and invite people to wanna come to our town. So that's my little spiel. Thank you for letting me do that. My only last question is, does anyone have any final thoughts? I guess that was my final thought to share. If not, we'll first say,
I have a few minutes for that.
well, if you want to pass on final thoughts, and does anyone have any questions they want to ask of the whole group here, of any of us, now's a good time. We're passing on final thoughts. We want yours.
So I'm in downtown, we're off of Side Street, so I know we have 7th Street and we have Main Street well represented, but those of us on the side streets, it's hard during these events, and so do you have any advice for us? Because not only are we on a side street, but typically our street gets blocked for emergency services and everything, so we're like an uphill battle when these events are happening, which are like great for you guys, but like not so much for us. So what's your advice on how we can better become part of the excitement and those events? Is there anything that has worked for maybe your neighbors off Main Street that you could share with us?
So I sympathize with that. When the street in front of you is closed and your people can't get to where you are,
Yeah.
you're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, even our regulars won't come, so it's like.
So a possible strategy is actually purchasing a booth at the festival, where you're right there in the middle, and you're like, we're right around the corner, we're right around the corner, we're right around the corner. When I do Rhythm and Brews, and I've done it, I guess this is year 5, people still walk up to me and go, where's your store at? So it's just, that could be a possibility. And maybe there is some conversation with the city how to do the layout, but I would say that, like Erin was saying, when the frame store is there, people aren't buying frames and carrying them around, but just to be present and be there involved. Even if you've got a token or something in one of the bags that people are advertising in, just to get the attention that, hey, we're here. And I don't know, for the city, maybe we could have signage, like when there's festivals, and there's just a sign right there on the sidewalk that says, go down this street. These are the list of the businesses right here. And here's the businesses right here. Because people that aren't from here and they're following the crowd, they don't know, so we have to direct them.
I would say too is that partner with somebody that's on Main Street. Like, I'd be happy to, have you put something in front of our store or whatever, because go where the masses are. And I would just try to find a partner, because I know what it feels like when I was on
Yeah.
South Main.
I
would
resonated with
watch
that. I was like,
everybody and wave, but I didn't know people then. So, if I was to do that all over again and I was on South Main still, I would partner. Just to give you real quickly, what I did was I went and the TDA was wonderful with this, is that I went and purchased a sandwich board, and took it on there where the food is, okay? Because I thought, oh, it said more vendors this way, in an arrow. Well, right away, the Apple Festival police came and said, and so you can't have that there. And so I was like, are you kidding? So I already bought it. So I went to the TDA and I said, can I put this there? And at the time, they were still in the construction mode. And they said, you can put it on our grass. And so I did that. It helped a little bit. And so that's what I would do, is try to partner, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that.
I also know that you're not alone. Like, that has come up from a lot of people on the avenues, downtown advisory board to the city. I know that there are certain limitations that the city can do during those festivals. I know it's been suggested to try and capture walkthroughs from parking, although I know that's hard too. But I know that if you do get involved, you can definitely help the outcome of that for all the avenues. Because your point of view, first in-person point of view, it goes a lot further with conversation and suggestion than some of the other merchant who may just be like, you know, the city's terrible, I don't come on an avenue, I don't get any help, you know, well, you have to be a part of it. So you're not alone. That's definitely a huge concern for many avenue people, especially during the big parades and the big festivals where people are just trying to get to Main Street. And you guys are still paying downtown taxes like all of us. So I would suggest you try and get involved and get in touch with Jamie and Lou and the downtown staff and get on a board. And, you know, we're always looking for more people to help out, for sure.
I think it's probably all of these things and something else. Looking at 8th Avenue, like what Guidon and Southern Ave have done, they kind of made it a space. And like Jenny was saying, they partner together. They're always represented at these events. They have a booth there, so they're pushing it that way. And it made it kind of like an event thing. So they're always vocal about that too. They're like, 7th Avenue is great, what about 8th Avenue? And that's kind of endless, but that's the adaptation part of like that's my job. You know, if there's something going on and I can't do business as usual, maybe that's when I want to be there instead of paying an hour in person or something like that.
We have another question, but I don't know if any of this avenue businesses had the opportunity to have somebody, maybe a family member, who you don't have to pay, or stand at the corner of Main and where your business is during festivals, maybe even in some costume or something. But I know it is difficult, but advocacy for each other helps, and Main Street helping the avenues and 7th Avenue helping Locust and Maple are definitely.
Yeah, we very much do that as well. Like all the beers we have on tap, they're all Hendersonville beers. So when people come in, we're fortunate for like on the 50-yard line, you can go down to Oklahoma, you can go over to Dry Falls or Guidon, you know, these are all local. And, you know, it definitely is important to have that. We're all in this together, and if we all do good, then we're all doing good.
Okay, we have one more question. Phil, I'm sorry, it's someone behind you who raised her hand earlier.
I'm gonna stand up because I'm doing that. I have the stained glass studio on 7th Avenue East, Glass Dragon Studio. And I'm kind of in the same boat you are with being on the side streets, but my thing is that I'm way distant from everybody. There are no businesses around me for people to come to see me. So I've talked to several people about different suggestions that will bring people farther down 7th Avenue East. And I'm going to continue to work on those. But when I opened in 24, I went down to the farmer's market and I said, can I place an A-frame sign up here? They said, sure. So that helps me on Saturdays during the time the farmer's market's open. I can put my sign down there and it has the address, and the visitors folks that run the farmer's market keep some of my rap cards and business cards up there, and that's been very, very helpful for me to be able to manage that. But outside of the farmer's market, I'm kind of stuck. And so hopefully by working with some of the other people, like Jenny approached me today and said that she would be happy to carry some of my information in her shop. And I know Aaron and his wife send people to my shop all the time because his wife likes to do stained glass work. So you're right, it's reaching out to the community, but being new here, and I've only been here a couple of years altogether, it is hard to meet other people that can provide that avenue for us. So meetings like this are very beneficial for people like me, and I'm sure everybody else, but I really appreciate getting the invitation to come out here. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil, did you have one final little thought?
Everybody up there knows I always have to have my 2 cents. So, I'm gonna compare 7th to the avenues to a large extent because it's been a developmental activity for basically 4 years. One thing I might suggest is that, and Seventh is creeping, toward a, progressive end. But, we as a group, small group, currently, work together, communicate, and where possible, come up with ideas to develop Seventh. Right? I think that same concept might help the avenues. If you don't work as independent business owners, but you reach out and try and bring the group together from the avenues and come up with ideas that will help. Maybe it's just your avenue, or maybe it applies to all, that would help stimulate that coming off Main Street. Because Seventh, we're an avenue. We don't get any benefit, well, marginal, from all the excitement and activities on Main Street, right? They don't, we're 4 blocks away. So, we have to kind of, and we're doing this, right? Try to create your own center of excitement and magnetism to draw those tourists and those customers over to Seventh. So that's the only thing I would suggest for the avenues.
Thank you, and that's a good reason why we're trying to get everybody together and let everyone network and introduce each other. And like I said at the beginning of the meeting, we do have our downtown board that meets once a month. And you've met now several of our downtown board members, and we've got more who weren't able to make it today. So don't hesitate.
I think you included that you could go on and join online as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So we also record all of our meetings on Zoom, and they're on the city's website. If you go to the board and commissions, you can see all of the agendas for all of the city boards and committees, and then we have a link to join on Zoom, and then we record them. So you can always check back in with what's going on. If you don't receive our downtown newsletters, make sure you get with me and we'll get you added to that. Because that's where we try to just give information. We try not to overgive information, because everyone, I know I get tons of newsletters coming to my email. But we do say when our meetings are, and you can kind of keep up with the agendas and everything there. But always feel free to contact me or any board members of items that you've got. And like Kathy had said about the cookie stroll, I think it was Kathy, that was something that some of the businesses wanted to do to bring more traffic in for 7th Avenue. And for things like that, that are just us being able to help promote something, we are glad to do that. And so a lot of the things like the cookie stroll and Old Fashioned Christmas and events like that are really reliant on the participation of the businesses more than anything. So we're glad to have everybody here to talk about that. And talking with your neighbors about it who weren't here is also a good way to let everybody know that we're not against you. We're wanting to work with you and figure out ways to find solutions to problems. So I hope that this was helpful for everyone, and we hope to at least do this again at the same time next year. And if it seems like it makes sense to do this as twice a year, we can do that too. And I'd also encourage you to go to other networking events. We have once a month on the 2nd Wednesday of each month at the Elks Lodge. There's an event business morning update. It's at 8:00 a.m. the second Wednesday, right? Every second Wednesday, and that's a partnership with Downtown, the Chamber, the Hendersonville Merchants Association, and the Small Business Center. It's at 8 a.m. at the Elks Lodge every month. And that's just a way to get involved with the business community that are free. You don't have to be a member of the chamber. And you can hear lots of different updates for that. So I do encourage you to attend that, and just thank everybody for coming out.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to Jamie, Lou, the entire downtown team for putting this together. It's really great for all of us to get together and talk and share ideas. It's been wonderful for me and my business, so thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Just a show of hands, would you like to do this 2 times a year?
Yeah.
Or 3 times a year?
Yes.
2 times are good. Okay, so it's early in the year, so we need to plan another one within the next
It's
6
not in
months.
July.
Not July. Okay. Whatever is good for everybody. Thank you all for attending. This was awesome.
And thank you